Well, it's extraordinary. Twice in question time today, the Minister for Social Services was given the opportunity to actually talk about the impact of the government's cuts on families. At no time could even the word family cross his lips. At no time could he actually show any interest or any regard for the impact of this government's very harsh cuts on all sorts of different families in Australia. Well, we'll have the opportunity today to give him 10 whole minutes to see if once, just once, he could say something that demonstrates he understands and this government understands just how harsh these cuts are and what it will mean for Australian families. It's nearly 2 months since this Prime Minister deposed that other Prime Minister that now sits over there. He's had 2 months to come up with a new agenda, 2 months to actually think about the cost of living pressures that Australians are under, a new agenda that he says would all be about fairness, new ideas about how to introduce fairness for families. A fair go that we know over the last 2 years has been completely lacking from this Liberal government. Yet in this 2-month period, all we've heard from this Prime Minister is that they intend to deliver more cuts to Australian families, more pressure on Australian family budgets and more unfairness. And what we know from this government is that this will leave millions of Australian families thousands of dollars worse off. And of course we also know, because they want to have this debate or conversation, they also know they want to increase the GST to 15%. One thing we know from these Liberals is they never give up. They never ever give up when it's about hurting Australian families. Let's just look at the detail, because the Minister for Social Services refused to answer the question from the member for Parramatta and the member for McEwen about what these cuts would actually mean. So I'll tell the Minister for Social Services and, of course, the Australian Parliament. This Prime Minister's cuts to family payments will mean 130,000 single-parent families and 3,900 grandparent carers will be worse off.
Shame.
1.5 million families will lose their FTBA supplements. That is $726 per child. So if you've got 2 or 3 kids, $726 for every single child will be cut from those family budgets. Around 500,000 of these families earn less than $50,000 a year. You think this Minister for Social Services has got any idea what it's like to live on $50,000 a year? And he is going to take thousands of dollars out of the pockets of these families. So for an average 2-parent family with 2 children in school, more than $2,600 a year worse off. $2,600 a year worse off. A typical single-parent family will be more than $4,700 a year off. And of course, the Minister for Social Services doesn't want us to count the school kids bonus. No. Who cut that? Which government cut the school kids bonus? We gave it to families to help them with the cost of going to school. This government, of course, wants to take it off them. This government wants to take it off families. So, of course, we're going to make sure that families know what the total cost of the cuts of this Liberal government is to family budget. We've got the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister saying in an interview earlier this month that fairer is what it's all about. That's what the Prime Minister says. Fairer is what it's all about. And yet he is cutting $4,700 out of the pockets of a single-parent family.